Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Digital Service Squad webinar. My name is Ben Frisch, the Digital Service Squad team lead here in South Georgian Bay, and we're joined by Rochelle Reynolds, team member. Good morning. And today we're talking about alternative advertising channels. Really excited to get into this. So talking about ways to advertise that are not the typical Facebook or Google advertising channels. And Rochelle is going to take you through today's webinar. Just a few housekeeping details. The Digital Service Squad of South Georgian Bay is managed by the South Georgian Bay Small Business Enterprise Center. And we are really thankful for additional funding that we've received from the County of Simcoe, the town of Collingwood, and the town of Blue Mountains. Without their support, we would not have been able to keep this program running uninterrupted for such a long extended period of time. So it's awesome. And we are still around, the Digital Service Squad, until technically February of 2022. And so we are still available for direct consultations if you have questions about how to launch your digital marketing campaign. That's what we're here for. So all of our info will be at the end of the presentation, and we look forward to working with you. So all that said and done, I'm going to hand it off to Rochelle to take us through today's webinar.
Thank you, Ben. All right, so welcome everybody. All right, so today we are talking about, as Ben already described, kind of the less, I guess, the advertising channels that you don't think of first and foremost, but you really should be, because they are incredibly powerful and incredibly popular among, well, the globe, really. And so this is a really exciting webinar for me. It was a huge learning experience, even for me, diving deeper into some of these channels. Some of them, like I had never explored them before from a marketing standpoint, and there really is a lot to take away from all of them. So with that being said, this is going to be very, very high level. I will not be diving into like the brass tacks of, you know, this is exactly how you set up a campaign on this platform, and you know, this is you know, really, really in-depth information about each one of these things. Like they're just, it's far too dense a topic to tackle that intimately, I guess. But from by the end of this webinar, you will have at least a better idea of what each of these platforms offer and which ones you may want to explore a little more detail for yourself. Because yeah, there is a lot of gold to be mined from any of them, any and all of them. So specifically, we're going to be talking about Spotify, Tick-Tock, Snapchat, Waze, and the Weather Network. All right, so getting right into it, we are talking about Spotify. So in case you are not aware of what Spotify is, so it's essentially radio of the 21st century kind of thing. It's a worldwide music and podcast streaming service. It is used by millions and millions of people every single day. And the really exciting thing that I didn't know about Spotify is they have had like exponential growth in the past few years in particular. So they haven't been around for that long, relatively speaking, but they have really, really just found their footing and taken off in the last few years. Okay, so because Spotify behaves a lot like radio, you can expect to invest, you know, a significant budget in order to make any kind of advertising campaign really succeed on this platform, because again, like it behaves similarly enough to radio that they can justify charging sort of like radio level kind of pricing. But with that being said, it is still more affordable by and large, and it's quite cool because it is a better platform in terms of like being able to really drill down on your audience, and I'll get into that. So The campaigns are created entirely by the advertiser themselves, which is really, really nice. So you have complete creative control. You know exactly what kind of account you're creating and what your campaign is going to look like from beginning to end. If you are an enormous company, like a huge global brand or an internationally recognized corporation, then you can get paired up with a Spotify ad team member, and that's more of a sort of dedicated marketing relationship that way. Spotify behaves a lot like Google advertising and Facebook advertising in terms of the interface. Like it looks very similar, and really just like how a campaign is built. So if you are familiar with advertising through those other channels, then Spotify really wouldn't be a huge learning curve for you. In fact, just think of it as kind of a more robust playground in which to create a campaign than some of those other channels offer. I mean, I say that and then I immediately regret it, because like you can get pretty sophisticated with Google as well. But anyway, I digress. So there is very sophisticated targeting and retargeting. You can set all your demographics, anything from age through to their listening preferences. And then they offer a ton of metrics and feedback throughout the duration of your campaign, so that you basically get a play-by-play of how your campaign is working, and is quite in depth. And then there's really, really clear takeaways for future campaigns that you want to build. Yes, so I can't really stress enough the fact that Spotify is like personally curated radio. So the potential to again really like drill down on those listening preferences in particular, and ensure that your ads are only playing for people who are already interested in what they're listening to, like that is pretty advantageous. And so I'm going to get into that in the next slide. Okay, so as I said, the major advantage of Spotify is that with proper targeting and quality market research, you can all but guarantee that you are reaching your target customer. And I know that them's fighting words for sure. If you have ever worked with a radio station on advertising, that's the one thing that they really dodge, is sort of that like performance guarantee of your campaign, because ultimately, like radio can't control when people are dialing in and out and stuff, right? So Spotify all but kind of eliminates that risk factor. When people are tuned into Spotify, they have created their own playlists. They have, they're tuning into specific podcasts or specific albums and everything. Like they have complete control over what they're listening to. So therefore, there is far less station hopping during ads. It's not like, they will regularly be bombarded with, a huge ad break that takes them away from, a station that they were only mildly interested in to begin with. It's like, an ad is going to happen right before or within or after a podcast that they are like dialed in on and really, really captively listening to. So yeah, that is where the major advantage really lies. So for example, like if your product or service is tailored towards, I don't know, like 20-something males, you could have your Spotify ad run exclusively on, top 40 hits or, rap hits or whatever, or rock hits, like whatever you think your target demographic is already listening to. And that is pretty incredible. The interface, as I mentioned, is incredibly intuitive. It's really, really easy to build a campaign. I was watching a couple of YouTube tutorials on it, and I couldn't believe it. Like I thought that because Spotify is such an amazing platform for advertisers, I thought for sure that like building a campaign would be quite involved and kind of a very daunting task, but it's really not. Like you literally just sort of go like, yep, we're going to target this age range in this part of the world. You can get quite specific on that too, so you don't have to have a campaign that's reaching a geographical area that is totally irrelevant to you. Like you could basically make it as specific as Collingwood, Ontario, or South Georgian Bay. It's quite good that way. And everything else from there is very intuitive as well. And toggling all those listening preferences is very easy to do. So that's all really nice. There are both audio and video options. So of course, Spotify is an audio-based app. Like it is for listening to music and listening to podcasts and whatnot. But there are video options as well. I didn't look too closely into that. But if you are interested, like if this particular option really speaks to you, I would definitely investigate that further for yourself. There's also customizable distribution. So that's why I use this graphic here. So Spotify does not behave the same depending on how you're accessing it. So for example, like the desktop version, the mobile app, yeah, depending on what level of subscriber you are and everything, it's not sort of one size fits all. And the nice thing is your campaign doesn't need to be one size fits all either. So you can customize it to be on desktop only or on mobile only, on iOS versus Android only. Like you can really get that precise about, well, you know what, my product is only, like maybe you developed an app or something, right? Well, my product is only available to Apple users, so I'm only going to run this campaign for iOS, and that way I'm not wasting my time and my resources advertising to Android folks who don't have the device that they need to use my product, right? So that's quite cool. And then, yeah, so again, like, you know, a minimum $250 spend for a lot of small businesses, that's a significant portion of one's marketing budget. So like, even though it does require a bit of investment up front, compared to a traditional radio campaign, it is far more affordable. The rates are really quite great, and you can make a lot happen for that $250 minimum spend. Of course, you know, it's like anything else, like it's pay to play. If you really want Spotify to be your be all and end all, like this is the platform that I'm going to use, then you will need to be prepared to invest in that. But again, like for me, investigating all of these platforms, I was like, wow, this is a real opportunity for small and medium-sized businesses in particular, if it's the right fit for what you need, and if you're looking for an alternative to radio. So yeah. Ben, did you want to add anything to that? I know you had some experience with the Spotify folks a little while ago.
No, it never really went anywhere, so I didn't have much. I don't have much to add to that.
Cool, no worries. Okie dokie, moving right along to TikTok. So I've talked about TikTok in a couple of other webinars, and really don't sleep on it. Like this platform is not to be underestimated. It continues to grow, it continues to gain popularity, and it's aging up every single day. So TikTok is a short form video sharing platform. It's dominated by viral trends that can last for weeks. That's something that I think is lost a lot with TikTok, is it's advertised as very much this like spur of the moment, like you know, changing trends all the time, and every day you log in and there's something completely different to find. That's not exactly true. If a trend really takes off, it can last forever. Like I still see people jumping onto trends from like 2020 and still getting significant engagement in the content that they're posting that way. There are currently over 1 billion active users worldwide. So I know that TikTok really struggled in the beginning. Like it had a lot of criticism levied against it, and people were very much dismissing it as, you know, just sort of like the flavor of the month. But I don't know, it's really holding its own, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it continues to grow. Okay. And you can tell how well it's doing because there's a $500 minimum ad spend on any TikTok campaign. So that's very exciting. Now, I will distinguish that this is for an ad spend campaign, which is different from boosting a piece of content that you've already created. So we're going to revisit that, but just to put a pin on that. 43% of the users are 18 to 24 years old. So yeah, it still very much is a young person's game, but as I say, it's aging up literally every single day. It's also predominantly female as well. So that's something to consider. I learned that in my research on this. So within that 43%, there's a further like, shoot, I can't remember the exact breakdown, so I'm not going to make it up and be incorrect about that. But suffice it to say, there's a further split between male and female users, and female is dominant there. All right, so the cool thing about TikTok is there are many ad options available. So you can have the in-feed apps, you can create both image and video apps, Spark, Pangle, and Carousel apps. Not all of these are available to all users in all parts of the world. So some of these things are only available in like Asia, for example, and others are only available in the US and all that sort of stuff. So again, if you're really, really interested in building out like a robust campaign through this platform, I would encourage you to go to their ad page directly and figure out which ones are available to you specifically. So boosted posts and shoppable ads are available. That's really great. The shoppable ads have been around for a little while, and they are quite awesome that way. So if you tuned into my Instagram for Business webinar, I was talking a lot about the shoppable ads that Instagram has been rolling out. And I don't know who came first with that. I think Instagram beat TikTok to the punch, but regardless, it doesn't matter. They're both offering it, and they're great features on both platforms. Now, something to keep in mind. So one of the most prevalent advertising strategies on TikTok is the top view campaign style. So that's where no matter when you are logging into TikTok, you will always see basically like the same ad or a rotation of ads at the top of your feed. Like it's the first video that's going to play for you, and that repeats. So basically it's like every time you open the app, you get the same commercial. That's sort of the analogy there. So that branded hashtag challenges and branded effects are exclusive. So unfortunately, if you were like, oh, you know, TikTok is it, and for $500 I can get a top view ad. No, not quite. Those kind of like really, really incredible advertising opportunities are only available to like huge clients spending much money. So just so you're aware, I want you to be able to manage your expectations that way. There's still a lot that you can do from a small business level, but you can't really harness those particular features unless you are like a major global competitor. All right. So the major advantage to TikTok, if your audience skews young and female, TikTok has enormous potential for your business. Again, don't sleep on this app. If it doesn't matter what your feelings are about the app personally, it is like anything else, like a good business tool is a good business tool, and it is important to know what's out there and avail yourself of that. Ads on this platform are very creative and engaging and content driven. So it's a really great opportunity to showcase your brand's personality. The thing about a TikTok ad is like the creative potential is really boundless. I've seen some of the best advertising ever come out of this platform, to the point where I'm watching like a 1.5 minute ad and I have no idea that it's an ad because it's done so well and it's been created so I guess powerfully, and it's been so engaging that way. So if your brand is really built upon creating relationships with your customers, if you have a unique story to tell, if you have a really creative way to disseminate your value proposition, this can be a really awesome opportunity for you. Now we're going to go back to what I talked about before. So that minimum ad spend and everything, that is for if you are opening like an ad account to run formal advertising campaigns. If you are just like a TikTok creator or TikTok, a TikTok creator, you can boost your posts and you don't need to have like an ad account set up, and you don't need to adhere to that $500 minimum. So like if you're just sort of an avid content creator on the platform, and you're like, hey, you know what, I think that, you know, this is like my best video, like it went a little bit viral, and I really want it to reach a larger audience. You can boost it the same way that you can boost like a Facebook post or Instagram post, and you don't need to like go through the steps of creating a whole campaign and everything. Now, it is my due diligence as a digital service squad member and digital marketing expert in training to remind you that boosting posts is not advised, like just sort of blindly boosting things just to sort of see those vanity metrics roll in. That's not best practice in terms of like really creating an effective advertising campaign. But if you just wanted to sort of dip your toe in and explore the potential that you may be able to unlock through advertising through this platform more formally, then I say, yeah, absolutely do that. What's $25 to boost a post, right? There's enormous potential for global reach, especially in Asia and the Middle East. So what I've learned is that a lot of North American brands that really want to make an impact in those parts of the world in particular, TikTok is their lifeline, because there are just so many users in that part of the world. And just because of how the algorithm works, they will be seeing your content, right? Like they will be exposed to what you're advertising. So if you really have ambitions to bring your product into Asia and the Middle East and other parts of the world, way over on the other side of the ocean and everything, this could be the way to do that and really see some impact there. There's a really simple user interface. So similarly to Spotify and Facebook and Google, really all of the things that I'm going to talk about today, with the exception of the Weather Network, the user faces are designed to be very user friendly, because basically they want you to advertise with them, and they understand that like Facebook in particular was sort of the leader in this space. Facebook learned how to make advertising easy for people who don't know how to advertise. And so every platform has really jumped on that bandwagon and tried to recreate the same experience. Okay, so there is this cool thing called day parting and automatic creative options. So day parting in particular is really, really neat. Essentially, you can have complete autonomy over your campaign. So you can say exactly when you want it to run, what times of day you want it to run, how long you want it to run. Like you can spearhead all of that yourself, or you can give it over to TikTok and let the algorithm take care of it. And I would highly recommend this, because, you know, not everyone can be an expert on when people are interacting with their content, but TikTok does a really great job of tracking that and pushing content at the right times to the right audience members. So day parting is an example of that. Like essentially, if you turn that on, then TikTok will analyze like, oh, most people in this demographic that this ad is supposed to connect with, they're active from like 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. on weekdays, for example. So they won't run your ad until that window, so that you are not sort of wasting your budget on days and times that are irrelevant to your target customer. So that's really, really cool. And the automated creative options, so that's similar to the whatever Facebook calls it, the dynamic campaigns or whatever. Like there's the option to essentially like give over the a portion of the creative choices to the app itself. So essentially they'll draw on kind of like your best images or videos or whatever, and help like sort of show you like, this is what we think your ad should be based on how your content has performed in the past. So if you're really not clear on what ad you want to create to start off with, you can give that a shot and see how their team sort of puts together for you. There's very flexible budgeting, and there's quality metrics involved. So again, same with the other major players in this space. So Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Google, all of these things, they want you to work with them. So they make it as easy as possible. You can have your ads, basically like you can go with like daily budgets, you can go with cost per click, you can go with lifetime spend. There are many ways that you can design your campaign, and then you're going to get that basically real-time feedback and quality insight into how your campaigns are running through their metrics. Alrighty, and now moving on to Snapchat, the app that I personally dislike the most, but that's fine. I learned to appreciate Snapchat a lot more through working on this webinar, actually. Again, like similarly to TikTok, you can't really sleep on this app. It is an instant messaging app used for texting, sending photos and videos, and sharing live stories. So of course, if you're not familiar with Snapchat, basically like their big thing that they tout is that nothing is permanent. Like when you send messages, when you send photos and videos and whatnot, it only lasts for like 60 seconds and then it disappears. Now, they say that, yeah, whatever. We're not gonna go down that road. There are currently over 300 million users worldwide. So again, like Snapchat, it sometimes sort of flies under the radar a little bit, but you cannot underestimate the impact that it has had, and just the sheer number of users that are out there actively on this app every single day. The nice thing about Snapchat, it is very, very affordable. $5 minimum ad spend. That is incredible. 75% of the users are Millennial and Gen Z. There are multiple ad options available. This is quite cool. I didn't know this about Snapchat. So you can create video ads, single image ads, story ads, collection ads, commercial ads, lenses, and filters. So there are like countless ways to be able to engage with your audience that is not just they're having a great time scrolling through their stories and then suddenly they get bombarded with an ad and they're like, oh, I have to watch this ad now before I can continue on what I'm doing. Like, you can actually make whatever it is that you're advertising part of the Snapchat experience, especially through the lenses and filters that are available. And I have an example of that. And there are also shoppable ad formats available. What's really cool about Snapchat that I learned about them is they actually really, they seem genuinely dedicated to giving small and medium-sized businesses a chance to really do well in their space. So like creating the shoppable ads and all that, that was sort of a way for them to give their small business owners and small business ad accounts some real leverage and something beyond, again, oh, I'm being bombarded with an ad, and now I'm just going to wait for it to pass and I'm never going to go visit this site or whatever. Like, they have really made an effort to go like, no, well, they're like, here's a call to action. Here's a way to make our ad really work for you. So I think that's quite cool. Now, yeah, we can move on. I'll tell my fun story after that. All right, so the major advantage to Snapchat. Any brand that is appealing to younger audiences has a great advertising opportunity through this app. So unlike TikTok, which again, sort of like is finding a new audience every single day, and yes, skews young, but we're seeing more and more of the world sort of embrace it. Excuse me. Snapchat has sort of remained a bit of an evergreen kind of app that way. Like it kind of remains to be designed to be fun and for young folks who want to stay in touch with each other. So they have really kind of cornered that market in a lot of ways. Of course, it's highly affordable. I mean, $5 to run a campaign, like that's pretty good. You have a captive audience. That is one thing about Snapchat in particular. So because it is designed to be a communication app, like an app for people to stay in touch with their friends and family, and really like interact with people on a personal level, you know that people are on there because they want to be on there. They aren't just passing time. They aren't just mindlessly scrolling. Like they are on there with a mission to communicate with somebody in some way. Full screen display, which is really nice. So anytime that you are running an app, with the exception of like the lenses and filters, which again I'm gonna sort of talk about, your ad will come up as a full screen thing, so that you're not competing with another video and you're just like a banner on top or anything like that. Like, you know, you're right in everyone's faces. The unique offerings like the lenses and filters, industry specific tools and targets. So I mentioned before that they're really making a push to help out small and medium-sized businesses, and I really stand by that. So they've even drilled down on enabling options that are industry specific, which is what my point says. So like, for example, if you run a food, like a restaurant or something, you can create ads that take people to your ordering page and all that sort of stuff. Like they really are trying to help you close business successfully. Same with like cosmetics, same with fashion and stuff. Like it's worth looking at. Do they cover every single industry? No, because that doesn't make sense, right? Again, like this is a communications app for young people, so they're not going to be creating enormous partnerships with like insurance companies, for example. But if you want to look into it, like if this fits your target audience and you want to investigate it more, definitely check out their website and look at those industry specific tools that they've created. And then quality metrics for better retargeting. So the what they really tout is the fact that not only are you going to get great feedback on the campaign that you are running, but Snapchat is going to work really hard for you to ensure that all your right people are being retargeted. Because of course, you know, chances are if people see your ad one time, they might check you out, but they won't necessarily you know, buy from you right away, right? Like it takes time to develop that relationship. Snapchat really works hard to make that happen for you. So if they are seeing that like one user in particular saw your ad and watched it all the way through, and then they saw it again, and then they clicked on your website, and then they saw it again, and they filled their shopping cart but didn't check out or whatever, they keep track on all of that, and they ensure that they keep retargeting that person because they know that they're close to helping you sell. So that's quite cool. So now I'm going to tell my fun story about the lenses and filters. So I only used Snapchat for a little while. Like again, it's not for me. Like I'm not that into this app, but that's fine. But I do know that when I was on it, I was really captivated by the lenses and filters that were available. So when I was creating stories at the time, there was a band that had just released a new song, and it was a band that had success, like, you know, 5 years ago or whatever, but they sort of fell off the map. Like they've been kind of quiet. I don't think they released any new albums or anything. So like this song was their big, like, kind of return to the spotlight, and they advertised through creating a custom filter. And my goodness, like that song got so much traffic just by virtue of the fact that it had partnered with Snapchat to create to have this like special filter on the go. It was like a really fun silly filter that was like almost like a GIF. Like it was like universally kind of applicable to lots of different people and whatnot. And I tell you, that song became a #1 hit like within a few weeks of that campaign being launched. So anyway, that's just like my personal experience with that particular style of advertising. All right. Waze. Okay, so Waze is the world's largest community-based traffic and navigation app, also known as the Heads Up, There's a Cop Ahead of Us app. There are over 150 million monthly active users. If you haven't used Waze before, it's quite cool. It's like Google Maps except as I say, like everybody around the world can sort of add to things. So if there's construction, if you're on the Waze app, you can literally like create a post saying, hey, heads up, there's construction at this intersection, use an alternative route or something. And if enough people report the same thing, then Waze will actually like put that onto the map so that you can plan your route ahead of time. It's quite cool. $2 monthly or $2 minimum daily ad spend. The campaigns run month to month, so you're looking at like a minimum $60 a month investment that way, which is quite affordable. Like that's not a bad starting budget at all. The 4 options that are available are the pin ads, search ads, takeover, and arrow ads. All of these are quite cool. So the pin ad is essentially where the same way that Google Maps does. Like if there's a significant enough location, then you can see it on the map even if you're not searching for it. Waze does the same thing. Search ads are quite cool. Essentially, if you're like, oh, you know, I'm driving to a new city and I'm really craving pizza or whatever, you can put pizza in Hanover or whatever you want to, wherever you're going. And if you are part of the search ads, then your business will be bumped up to the top of those search results. Takeover ads, I'm trying to remember which ones. Shoot. I confused the takeover ads and the arrow ads. Essentially, the one or the other is sort of like a big like digital billboard shows up in your app. So like as you're driving, it appears and is like, hey, in case you're interested, this business is around and it's got some really cool stuff available. So that's quite cool. And then the other one, which I can't remember, is yeah, that's the takeover ad. And then the arrow ad is the one where if you pass, like if there's a business that is advertising on Waze that is on your regular route, then you will sort of continually, like every time you go on your route, you will continually get little push notifications letting you know, like, hey, this business is open. Hey, this business is running a sale. Hey, this business is around the corner from you. And it like that's a really cool way of planting that bug in customers' ears of like, oh yeah, there's that place around the corner from me that Waze keeps telling me about, and I'm going to go check it out right now. It's quite cool. There are options for businesses with and without storefronts, which is quite cool. Even if your business is online, you can take advantage of Waze. I think that's pretty incredible, given that it's a map-based app. There are very, very clear policies and guidelines to ensure that ads are approved. So this is one of the biggest pieces of criticism that comes out of things like Facebook and Instagram is sometimes ads don't get approved and you feel like you don't know why, right? Like you're not really given clear feedback as to what you could do differently. Waze makes it very, very clear to the point where, they say like, you can't advertise alcohol, you can advertise a bar and restaurant, and this is how you can do it. Like they literally tell you the verbiage that you need to be using. So quite clear and helpful that way. And then there's also Ad Starter for small businesses. So this is quite cool. There's sort of like Waze advertising, which is kind of the big for the big spenders. And then there's a separate category, the Waze Ads Starter, which is designed to help people kind of dip their toe in and find success on the budget that they have and without getting in over their heads. So that's quite cool. Waze, major advantage. Waze advertisers get enormous engagement from active users. It essentially serves as a digital pin or billboard for your business and works hard to keep paid advertisers at the forefront of users' minds. So it is important to distinguish this. If you are advertising on Waze, you need to recognize that a lot of people are on this app, but unless they are actively using it, your ad will not show up. And why I say that is because like, things like the arrow ads, for example, they're really, really amazing. But what are the chances that someone has the app running every single day if the commute that they make is quite simple and straightforward and they don't need the directions, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. Like Waze is really good for capturing kind of like the tourist and visitors market. And it is good for locals as well, but you sort of need to think a little critically about that. Like realistically in South Georgian Bay, there's only one highway and there are only so many places to get to where you're going. How likely is it that people are going to have this app actively running all the time? Just something to keep in mind. So it's very, very affordable. It allies to small businesses, as I mentioned. I think it's really cool that through this app, you can basically compete with enormous chains, get that Google Maps kind of level of visibility without needing to invest a lot. Like that's really powerful. It's highly unique and engaging, and it influences behavior in real time. So again, like if you're on the road and you really need a coffee or something like that, how amazing would it be to have, Phil's coffee shop just like come up as you're approaching the next exit to let you know that, hey, this is where you need to go and you're gonna have a great time. Pretty cool. It provides tangible retargeting and reinforcement. And the nice thing is you can build your campaign based on either awareness, clicks, or navigation. So that's quite cool. So again, you can really think critically about, well, what makes the most sense for my business and the people who use my business. Are they mostly locals? And I probably shouldn't, or probably don't necessarily need to work on the awareness side of things, but I really want the navigation side of things. I want the locals to come here. So yeah. All right, and we can move on. And I know there's a question here. Let's see. Wanted to know if you think you really need a brick and mortar to benefit from this. Yeah, great question. Honestly, like based on what their site said and what I was reading, like non-brick and mortar businesses are finding a real place through this app. I mean, I can't speak to it one way or the other definitively because I've never run an ad through Waze and I don't have a brick and mortar store. But I would say that that there is a major advantage, because the thing about like Google Maps, for example, is they don't they are really focused on like highlighting those brick and mortar businesses, and the other businesses don't have a place to succeed. And Waze is kind of going like, well, here you do, right? Like here we are making it possible for you. So yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth exploring. And I don't necessarily think that you're going to be fighting a losing battle that way. Yeah. All right. And last but not least, the Weather Network. Okay. So the Weather Network is mostly Canadian, but also in the US and UK, and it's a weather information resource. So of course it's going to be super successful in Canada, where the weather is a constant source of stress and jubilation. Best known for its television channel, website, and mobile app. Over 40 million monthly active users. Okay, so the thing about the Weather Network is this. Everybody knows it and everybody uses it, so that's really exciting. But because of that incredible visibility and just like the absolute like titan of a platform that it's built for itself over all this time, you are paying some premium rates. This is not a starter ad area at all. I am talking like minimum $1,500 investment for anything. It's ideal for reaching baby boomers and early Gen X. And the ads that you're going to sort of be able to take advantage of are banners, sidebars, and bumpers. Again, you can customize that for mobile and desktop, or just mobile or just desktop. I'm assuming that we're not kind of talking like traditional television here. If we are, then like keep it up, well done. That's excellent, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the digital aspects here today. You can create single image, clickable, and shoppable ads. So that's kind of the cool thing. The Weather Network, it very much operates as a more traditional kind of digital advertising option, so just kind of like static ads and whatnot. But they have expanded to include clickable and shoppable ads. And I think that's a great step forward. Again, like similarly to Snapchat, for example, they're really pushing for, okay, advertise with us because we can drive people to your site, or we can help you close that sale. All right. Now, the major advantage, I couldn't have said it better myself, so I pulled this right from their website. Harness the power of weather to drive business decisions and activate media campaigns when most relevant. That is what the Weather Network has really cornered, is that behavioral buying, right? Like you sign on to the Weather Network at whatever, 6 o'clock in the morning to help you with your commute, and you see that there is a huge blizzard planned, and you are just like, well, this is great because I don't have my snow tires. I really need to make that appointment. Hey, look, a Canadian Tire ad. Click. Like they have really made that so easy for people. It is excellent for seasonal products and services. The users are highly engaged when tuned in. So similarly to Snapchat, like when you were on the Weather Network, you were on there on a mission, like you were there for a reason, and therefore whatever you're seeing is going to catch your eye and appeal to you. It is, as I said, it's more traditional ad format, so it's good for more conservative brands and businesses. So I mentioned Canadian Tire, also things like I've seen Betty Crocker advertise on there. Kind of like think of those like stalwart staple brands that are just never going to go away, and like they found their success many decades ago. They know what they need to do to capture what they need, and they stick to that. Like that is where the Weather Network can really help a business just sort of like reinforce a solid platform and message. It is very expensive, but the cool thing is all ad accounts are managed. So part of what you're paying for is that executive oversight or that partnership with a dedicated like Weather Network rep. And they will of course work very hard to build the best campaign possible for you. Ben and I were talking about this because I know Ben does have some experience with the Weather Network, and I'll ask him to speak to that in a moment. But what I would say is, if you're looking at something at the Weather Network, then it's also worth looking at something like Rogers, or I can't think of absolutely anything else at this point, so we're just going to go with that example. What we would say is, like, if you're looking at this one, look at other ones that may align with your target customer a little bit better. So for example, like if you have the budget to spend with the Weather Network, but your target customer is like, again, we'll go with like males, 20-something males or whatnot. Well, yes, 20-something males are going to use the Weather Network when they have a golf game coming up, or when they have to drive to hockey practice or whatever it happens to be, but they're not necessarily living in that space, right? Where are they living? Well, they're really into sports, right? So they're going to be living on those Rogers properties, like the sports app and whatnot. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, like, properties like this can be very useful, but you can be a bit more strategic about well, this one doesn't really work for me, but this one really does. Like, I can find a more captive audience if I specify a different property as opposed to the Weather Network. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Weather Network, but the same can be said for all of the other sort of like major stalwart competitors out there, and some of them may be a better fit for your target customer. So Ben, I wonder if you want to share your experience working with the Weather Network, or anything else that you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing I wanted to add to, like, to just kind of create more distinction too between some of these, pretty much all of these options versus the Facebook and Google, is that a lot, if I'm not mistaken, if not all of them, most of them offer more of a cost per impression approach, right? So there is quite a difference there, in that you're paying per just view, an impression, how many people actually see the ad, whereas with Facebook and Google, like, you can do cost per click, which can be a little bit more effective in that sense, but just a pretty big differentiator between the two. But yeah, no, I mean, as Rochelle said, like, what is really cool about, like, the Weather Network is that, the example that she gave of winter tires, it's not just that, like, they would put the winter tire ad up, just based on a calendar date. They can actually, like, tie that ad right to the weather and the temperature. So the guy was telling me, like, that as soon as the temperature hits, I think it's like the standard is like 7 degrees and below, that's when their ads run for those seasonal winter tires. And so just think, anything else, like, the same goes for, like, the hot drinks, hot cocoa, something like that, like, temperature drops, and cue ads for hot beverages or whatever. So that's what's kind of cool about that. And the fact too that that a lot of these apps offer pretty extensive like tracking abilities too. So as a consumer, you know, it's a little creepy, but as a marketer, it's pretty great that that when we sign up and download the weather network app, for example, we agree to their terms of service, which include as long as your GPS, I guess, is turned on, you can turn that off. But if you've got that enabled, then they essentially know where you are as well, and that can play a part in the targeting. Based on what stores people frequent, what geographical areas they live in or work in, or kind of like Waze too, like based on that commute. There's a lot of ways that you can really kind of pull out from that understanding of human behavior. We can pull out like some of the basic needs and aspirations that these audience members have, and try to cater to that as best we can with whatever our business is offering. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. So yeah, that's that. My goodness, those were a lot of properties to cover and everything. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Excellent. I will continue writing if you are writing. What I will say is, again, any of these, if any of these really jumped out as something that you want to explore, I would definitely recommend checking out their site. So all of these platforms have really good like ad account info sites and all that sort of stuff. And I would also say, of course, book a free consultation with our service squad and let us know what you want to learn a bit more about. We would love to explore that with you and kind of help you make more informed decisions should you be interested in tapping into some of these resources. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was very fun. I loved this webinar because I learned so much from it. Oh my goodness. Like, as you see, some of these platforms, like they're out there and they're so popular, but I just don't, they're not at the front of my mind, right? Like when I think of advertising, I just automatically go to other places. So it's really great to know that these are out there and for the most part, quite accessible. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we also have, we've got a full webinar about Pinterest already online at the Small Business Enterprise Center YouTube channel. And then coming up in February, we've got one on LinkedIn as well. So we're covering lots of different alternative advertising opportunities for your business. So stay tuned for more coming from us in 2022. And this is the last webinar of 2021. So thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget, there's our booking calendar link up on the screen. So connect with us if you have any questions, if you want to talk about how to improve your digital marketing footprint. That's what we're here for. And again, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Rochelle. That was really amazing and informative. Appreciate all the hard work you did putting that together for us. So thanks, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.